Hi and welcome to the Adventure Yoga YouTube channel. My name is Donna and I've recently completed the RYA Day Skipper Theory and Practical. I noticed that when I was doing my research, there's not really a lot out there in the way of hints, tips and tricks, so I thought I would record this and just leave it here. Make sure you stay tuned to the end for some afterthoughts that nobody else is talking about. Okay, so tip number one would be if you are doing your theory, try to do it in a classroom as opposed to doing it online if you can. Obviously not everyone has that option. I did. I had a teacher in a local area that ran a classroom-based theory course. It was one evening a week over 8 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks with some homework involved. Yeah, it was tough to fit it in with my full-time job as well, and I'm also studying with work, so it was hard to fit it in, but it was worth it. The reason I say this is because in your practical you will do very little theory, a very little like actual passage planning, course to steer, all that. There isn't time for someone to sit down and explain that to you. And if you're anything like me, you know, it took a while for me to get it. It is not easy if you're not sort of science or maths orientated. I'm more of a creative person. So if you're not used to doing calculations and you haven't got the best spatial awareness, and you know you didn't really pay attention in your maths and science at school like me, then it is, yeah, you know, it's at first. So because I was actually meant to do my day skipper in Greece at first, and I was doing my theory online, and then I broke my ankle so I couldn't go, and that's why I rearranged and I decided to do it here in the northeast of England instead. So, which I'm really glad I did. So that gave me the opportunity to do it in a classroom. So I actually, before I had the incident ankle, I was pretty much finished my online theory for my day skipper with the Greek company. And you know what, it's multiple choice questions, and you can actually cheat, so you can actually forward the question, go back, and the answers are in there. So it's really easy to cut corners, really easy. I didn't personally, but I didn't take it in. Like, I didn't feel like I knew it after I'd done it. Whereas when I actually did sitting down with my teacher and the rest of the people in the class, it just really sunk in. And you know, I would say, please, can you, to my teacher, I'd be like, can you explain that again, please, can you explain that again? And he did, and he explained it again and again and again. And eventually I got it, and now I can give me some charts and an almanac, and I will do a passage plan. I can even, you know, I've plotted a trip with my dad that we want to do over from the northeast coast to Norway, done all the waypoints, all the the bearings, coordinates, Latin long, everything. Because I'm a firm believer, yes, you've got sat navs and marine navigation, navionics and GPS, but as I found out on my Day Skipper practical this week, you can't always rely on that. You need that knowledge in your head. Like, you might lose power, you might run out of battery, you just don't know what's going to happen. Tablets take a long time to charge on a yacht when you're not plugged into land mains. DC battery is slow. So yeah, so yeah, I picked it up so much better. I would say in the classroom, definitely 100%. You won't get time if you cut corners in your theory. You won't get time to go over it again, and you won't go over it again at all when you do your practical. So yeah, you know, you can get away with not learning it properly, but you're only going to hurt yourself when it comes to getting out on your own, chartering a boat or buying a boat. You're gonna come unstuck then. I'll give you an example. On a few days ago on my night sail, I took the yacht from Royal Keys Marina to Blythe Marina in the middle of the night, and my instructor handed me the tablet with the navionics software and said, you know, do your passage plan, and I actually said, look, I would like to do my waypoints on a chart and take, get bearings, get the Latin long for each, or look, find transit points, and I would like to do it on paper. And my instructor was like, good for you, fair enough. So I did that. It come to a night sale. I had him put all these waypoints onto the tablet and the Navionics program. And it come to we were just coming out of the port of Tyne, and the battery died on the tablet. So had I have not, and I had to navigate the whole thing with my passage plan that I'd written down, and a map, a marine chart, which was great actually. It was really good fun, and it was such an achievement. And am I going to do that all the time when I sail in the future? No, but I feel safe. I know I can keep myself safe. I know I can keep my crew safe. So that's my first top tip. If you can do the theory in a classroom, do it. If you're doing it online, don't cut corners. Really go over each module again and again and again until you know it. Okay, so my second top tip is concerning knots, tying knots. Probably the most laborious and least enjoyable part of learning how to sail, and something that's it's just like, I'm not even interested at all. It's just tying knots. It's so boring. It's really important. My advice would be, don't worry too much about learning your knots before you do your practical. So I'd sailed quite a few times before anyway, as a passenger, and I'd put the odd fender on and off and stuff, but I didn't remember any of my knots. If you're like me, I'm a kinesthetic learner, which means unless I'm doing something and I'm applying that learning to practical everyday use. So for example, if I want to tie a bowline knot or learn to tie a bowline knot, I need to be in a situation where I will need that bowline knot and do it there and then. So I went into my practical, I couldn't remember any of my knots, even the clove hitches and the simplest things, reef knots, and the kind of knots you're going to be using all the time, and I completely had forgotten them all. So don't worry too much about knots, just maybe do a little refresher before you start your practical, and then just go ahead and learn it on your practical. Definitely the best way to do it. Okay, so tip number 3 is revise your col regs or collision regulations. If you're not familiar with the shortened term, col regs are so important, and during your practical you will be pulled up all the time. So for example, I was coming out of the port of Tyne, there was a huge tug and barge going past me. The tugboat had his or her day shapes up, and my instructor was just like, Donna, tell me what those shapes mean, and I'm on the spot, I'm like and then it clicked. It meant that it was restricted manoeuvring, and they were also towing. So how I learned my col regs is get an app. I think there's if you just put collision regulations into like the app store, there's a few apps. You'll have to pay. You will have to pay, but it's a few quid. And it's worth it. So what I did, just on a night time, if I was if you're messing around on your phone before you go to bed, or if I had a break at work or something, I just get my app and do a revision on your col regs. You need to know it. It's really important, and you will be left to your own devices a lot more than you think on the day skipper practical. Your instructor is watching to see if you're observant and you can make decisions and see what's going on around you. And if you know your collision regulations and you know them well, it's just everything will run smoother. You'll demonstrate that you are a true leader and a true skipper. So revise your collision regulations. Okay, tip number 4 is be aware of perspective. Perspective. What do I mean by that? So if you know a harbour or a marina or a passage during the day, just because you know what that looks like during the day, it doesn't mean that you will at night time. Sailing in the dark is a complete game changer. Again, I'll give you an example on my night sail. When I took the boat to Blythe Marina and back, I was coming, for those of you who haven't sailed in the northeast of England, you come from the North Sea into the mouth of the Tyne mouth it's called, and you go down the River Tyne probably for a mile or so, and then you head starboard into the marina. Very busy shipping lanes. You've got tug and barge coming in and out, huge passenger ferries. There's a lot of boat yards and a lot of industry around there. So you've got all sorts of fishing, all sorts coming in and out, and a very busy marina as well. And the marina is lock operated, so you have to sort of hang around outside for a while until you can get the locks open and get in. It's not an easy passage. On the night sail, I'd probably come up and down, in and out of the Tyne and into the marina maybe 3 or 4 times, and I thought, oh yeah, I know this now, it's going to be a piece of cake. So on the approach to the marina, there was just like about a quarter of a mile of like a like a wall basically, and bollards, and but it's pitch black, and there's no channel marker at all to get into the marina. All I could see was a ferry landing that you come to before the marina entrance, and because that's all I could see, I just started automatically heading for it, and I'm starting to panic, thinking I can't get in, I can't see the entrance, and I spoke up, I said to my instructor, I cannot see, and he was like, don't worry, you're almost there. So yeah, perspective and concentration. You might have a waypoint marked next to a buoy. So I did on the way back from Blythe. I have marked my waypoint on the way back next to what's called the DZ buoy. It's yellow, flashes once every 10 seconds. I was heading for that DZ buoy, and I could see it right up in the distance, like right on the horizon. And I'm heading towards it, and then I get chatting to the crew, and all of a sudden it's there. That 10 minutes can just pass in a split second, especially if people like me, for example, I'm like, oh, look at the stars, look at the view. Don't. Sailing is so slow paced. It's really slow paced, but it requires absolute concentration at all times. When you're in charge, when you're at the helm especially, and even when you're not at the helm, there's always blind spots, there's things you can't see, you can see that others can't see, pop markers, hazards, anything really. So yeah, it's slow paced and you're cruising along, and it's nice and relaxing. If the sea's calm, there's not much swell, but things can just change like that. So you need to concentrate, focus on your perspective, remember that things aren't always what they seem, and always be taking in what's going on around you. Okay, so my 5th top tip is communication. Communicate clearly. And also remember that how people communicate things it's very subjective to the person. What I might say a sentence, and what that means to me might mean something completely different to someone else. So for example, again, I've got 2 ropes in my hand, and I need to let go of a spring to come off the pontoon. And one of the crew said to me, can you pull that rope? Pull that, which rope? I've got 2 ropes in my hand. I've got another rope down next to me. Pull what rope, in what direction, for what reason? If you're the type of person that if you don't understand something, you're not inclined to admit it either. I'll just I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'll just hang out and I'll figure it out, and I don't want to admit it. If that's the type of person you are, and I've been that person before as well, and I think sometimes you can always still fall into that habit, you need to change your mindset. If you don't know something, you don't understand something, or you're not clear on the instructions that you've been given, say it. Probably my most used sentence on the trip, well, on the course, was, I don't understand what you're asking me. Can you explain what you're asking me? And along that lines. And it's not offensive to them, you know, it's not going to make you feel look stupid. It's really important that you're clear on what you're doing. Communication is key on your Day Skipper practical, and in leading a team, a crew of people on a sailing vessel. It's really important. So yeah, be very clear about what you're doing, what you're instructing people. Pull that rope isn't enough. You know, it's like you need to pull your rope on the starboard side towards you because we are going to spring off at the bow, or you know, be very, very clear. So yeah, communication is key. Okay, so tip number 6 is pick a local school. Before the whole COVID thing happened, I wouldn't have said that, but the way the courses operate now, you need to be. Well, I personally think, you know, if you want to sail as a hobby, if you're going to buy a boat or you've got access to a boat, you need to learn your local waters. I'm so glad that I decided to learn in the northeast rather than going to Greece and doing it, because, you know, it's tidal here. It's not the best weather. If you can sail off the Northumberland and the northeast coast, you can sail anywhere. The boat I have access to is in these waters, and I know that I'm that passionate about it. I want it to be part of my life all the time. I don't just want to, you know, rock up to the Greek islands once a year and put my auto helm on and GPS and not really experience that feeling of, you know, that sense of freedom and having the wind in your sails and having complete control and really making the most of what that vessel can do for you and what it has to offer, and feeling the power and the power that nature has, and how, yeah, and just the whole experience. So yeah, I would say, yeah, pick a local school. Anyway, sorry, go off on a tangent. Pick a local school, because now on the Day Skipper practical, the RYA has permitted anyone going down below or staying on board, which means your poor instructor, anytime you want stuff out of your bag or you want to change clothes, get your gloves out, they've got to go up and down the companionway to get your stuff for you. You can go below, but you can't have more than 2 households down below, which, you know, well, don't even get me started on that. I think it's ridiculous, but it didn't make a difference to my experience. I loved it, absolutely loved it. But yeah, you can in an emergency use the head or the loo, but you'll have to mask up and put latex gloves on when you go down. We all managed to keep it in. I don't know how we did it, but we did. You're not allowed to stay on board. Normally you would stay on board for the whole 5 days, which how anyone could do that is beyond me. With as much as I love the guys on my course, I was glad at the end of the day that I could get in my car and go home. One of the guys actually brought his camper van with him, so he actually stayed on the marina, which after the night sail I was very jealous, because having to drive home at like 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 in the morning, and then come back for 10 o'clock the next day, it was exhausting. It really was. And you know, yeah, it is more tiring, because I probably live about 10 miles away from the marina, so back and forward driving every day, driving tired as well in the morning, because it is exhausting. But you will have to pick a local school now. I don't know if that applies to sailing vessels, training vessels out of the UK. I've got no idea. I guess it will if they're RYA controlled. And I know my instructor, if we say we're coming from, you know, the other side of the country and we're staying in a hotel, he wouldn't have permitted that, because to him he didn't feel that was safe, and I would, you know, I respect that. So at the moment, pick a local school for two reasons. One, because of the way things are done now due to COVID, and secondly, because just learning your local waters is it's better than you've always got the option. Even if you know, some people are like, oh, I just want to go and sail in the Med once a year. You might change your mind. You might change your mind, and being able to know your local waters and have that option to make your passion like more of a lifestyle than do it. So yeah, that would be my top tip number 6. So the final tip, number 7, I would say, and this is a bit out there I guess, but I would advise doing it if you're not a manager in your professional life, or you haven't had any management training, or you don't feel that we've all got leadership qualities, everyone's got them, we're all capable of being leaders, every single one of us, but if it's not something that you're used to, then maybe do a little bit of research on leadership. There's loads of stuff on YouTube, online, learn about yourself, your learning style, how to manage other people, leadership theories, even like you do your own personality profile. How do you respond to orders, because you're going to have your classmates ordering you around. You're gonna have to order them around, and you don't even get time to prepare. Your tutor will just say, right, Donna, we need to bring in this boat, you need to organise the crew, and the first time that happens you're like but it's have faith in yourself as a leader, and doing a bit of leadership training or research just yourself, read a book on leadership. If you look at if just type in like CIPD leadership or something, or Institute of Leadership and Management, leadership, just something like that, that will really help you, because you will have to lead and manage and delegate and organise, and we're all capable of it, so don't be afraid. A little final addition to my last tip is, if one for the ladies or people of smaller stature, don't be put off. I am 5'2", I've got the smallest hands in the world, and yeah, it does make things a bit harder for you, because sailing yachts are designed for men, sailing is a community industry is pretty chauvinist. You only have to go onto certain Facebook groups, sailing for example, and the amount of all the pictures objectifying women and chauvinist comments and stuff. Yachts, both sailing vessels, are designed for men. I don't think it'll be like this forever, but it is. It's very male dominated, 100%. You walk around the boatyard and you've got all the guys fixing up the boats and get away from the missus, all that kind of. So yeah, it is, as a woman coming into sailing, it can be quite daunting. You'll be fine. Things that I found difficult was that I couldn't see, for the spray hood was eye level with me, so I found myself on my tiptoes at the helm, or sometimes if I could, I would sit on the side and sort of steer like this, which looks really cool. But it's a beginner that lacks control. So what I did, there was times when I just say to the crew, please can you lower the spray hood, I can't see over the top, and just do it, lower the spray hood, and when you don't need to have your eyes right dead in front of you, then you can put that back up. Coiling ropes, I would run out of hand to coil my ropes, so I would use quite big loops and have them over my arm, push them over my arm. I'm trying to think, bringing the anchor up and down. That's having the strength, like a hoisting, just always have a winch handy. The anchor, I'm still gonna have to go out there and do my own thing and learn how to find the strength to. I mean, my tutor, his yacht had so you pressed a button and that brought the anchor up. But I know on the boat that I'm going to be using, from now on, which is my dad's, I'm just gonna have to eat with spinach. I don't know. There'll be a way. I'll find it. Okay, so I hope you found those tips useful. If there's anything else you want to know, anything else you think I've missed, just drop a comment below. But I can always do another video, or I'll message you back directly if I can. Great. Well, thank you for joining me on my Day Skipper theory and practical top tips, and fair winds to you all. Have a fantastic journey learning and sailing, and hopefully I'll see you somewhere out there on the ocean. Take care, bye.